Well, the ladies are up on their perches. Sam's walking around. We might actually have dry weather today. This will be the first dry day in about a week and a half, if we have it. And then we got rain coming in again tomorrow. But it looks like Sunday and Monday might be pretty good too. And, you know, the best part about all this is I'm actually getting around a lot better now. Got my leg all wrapped up in an ace bandage yesterday, and it seemed to make a heck of a difference. I've got the bandage off today. After I did the ace bandage thing, I kept my leg elevated for about 4 hours watching movies. But yeah, I got a million things to do today. It is Friday, and the video saying what happened came out last week, so if you haven't checked that out, you know, feel free to do so. But I'm going to probably run to town and pick some different stuff up and maybe get busy this weekend. We'll see what we can do. I'm not going to get too crazy physically. Headed to town because I'm supposed to meet up with a guy that wants to buy some donut equipment from me, and if he does in fact buy the equipment, then he pays for a refrigerator for the cabin, which is awesome, right? Still don't have a way to power it yet, but I'm working on that. I am working on that. It is a glorious sunshine day here in Alaska. The leaves are all changing. I'm going to spin the camera around and just kind of shut up for a couple minutes and let you see it. It is beautiful. Okay. Now entering an area that I am not comfortable at being at all. 12 volt output, 120 20 volt USB output, solar input 20 amp, solar voltage 15 volts, solar input power up to 300 watts on this. I'm going to need more than likely a bigger inverter. I can already see that now. For some reason I thought this was a 3500 watt, but it's not. It's a 2200 watt, but it's pure sine wave. It's got a solar controller in it. Remote control right there, USB port right there. Input, output, output. Okay. This should still work with no issues whatsoever for what I'm planning on doing. So I've been planning this part for a while. This actually goes to this. Fuses, some more fuses, fuse box. We'll go through all these parts here real quick. Cables, more fuses, and a breaker box. I don't think there's some screws. So first, let me open these up and get them kind of laid out, and then I'll show you what I got going on here. Okay, so we'll go over a few things that I've got here. As I get closer and closer to actually installing an appliance in the cabin, and the only appliance I'm really worried about installing right now is a refrigerator, because man, it would be so much nicer if I had a refrigerator freezer in here. Wouldn't have to fight the ice chest. It would kind of complete the kitchen, other than a couple of cabinets I still need to finish, but it would make a huge difference. So by watching a million YouTube videos, and maybe not a million, but you know, upwards of 900,000. I kind of lined up everything that I think I'm going to need There's a couple of parts. There's one part on the wall in there, and I'll show you that in a couple of minutes, that I already have running right now, charging batteries. So with that said, this pure sine wave inverter, and pure sine wave is important because modern day electronics, such as a brand new refrigerator, really like pure sine wave over a modified sine wave or an unmodified sine wave inverter. Where was I at here? So this inverter will be running one electrical outlet in the kitchen, and it'll be running the refrigerator in the kitchen as well. And I'm going to install all of this on this board and kind of get an idea of where I want it all to be. Then I'll take the heavy components off, which will probably just be this, mount the board on the wall, and then reinstall this. But there's a couple of things I have to take into consideration. Number one, as part of this inverter, it comes with a remote power on and off. And I think this would be good if you had a cabin that you're going to on weekends and you wanted to just be able to turn the system off when you left. But being as I'm going to run a refrigerator in here 24/7, that's not something that I'm going to want to do. So I won't be using this remote power on and off because I'm here all the time. I mean, even if I leave to go on vacation, while I'm gone, you know, my power will still be drawing because I'm not going to empty out the refrigerator or freezer. I guess I could, but I'm not gone from the cabin for any amount of time anyway. So the way this basically works is you have an inverter, and the inverter is what converts your 12-volt battery power to 110, 120 regular electrical current, regular American electrical current. You have a solar charge controller, and that solar charge controller converts the power that comes in from my solar panels to 12 volts so that my batteries will accept them, and it charges my batteries as it goes. That is what this is for, this circuit breaker right here, which will mount on this piece here. And this will be next to, it'll be actually probably be next to the charge controller. And I'll get you a picture of that here in a minute. So the charge controller will end up like over here. And then the power comes in from the solar panels into this breaker box so that I can isolate it. When I'm working on the system, I can manually turn it off so that I don't have to worry about power in the system when I'm working on it. And then comes out of here and goes into the charge controller. And then from the charge controller, it goes out of that and back into the battery bank. I have positive and negative bus bars. This is what the power... Probably going to do this. Something like that. I'll probably do it something like that. This is where your positive and negative leads are going to come in from the battery. These are 2-aught cables. There's a lot of math that goes behind what size cables you actually need based on what your batteries draw and everything else, but these will be more than sufficient for me. So these are the cables that will connect the battery on one end and then connect to the bus bars on the other end. Before they do that, though, they're going to go through... the red one is going to go through this. And this is another isolate your battery. So power on, power off. So this will isolate the power coming into the battery again. So if I'm going to work on anything here, I flip the top switch off, I flip this off, and we're good to go. So power comes from the battery, or cables come from the battery to the bus bars, and then from the bus bars to that, and to everything else that I'll have operating on here. Now, off of the bus bars, I will also connect this 12-volt breaker box. And this 12-volt breaker box, how do I open this? Like that. Push those in. I might need a screwdriver to do this. This 12-volt breaker box is... My lights in the cabin are all going to continue to remain on 12 volt because it's much more efficient for lighting for me to use the 12 volt lights. I'll have a few other things. I'll have more lighting systems based on this system as well. So you know, red and black both come into here via the bus bars. And then also where the battery cable connects to the battery, I have a box of fuses here. And this is just a safety thing. The batteries themselves that I'm looking towards picking up, and I'm working with a company right now to get 2 of them up here to build a 600 amp hour lithium system, have precautions built into the batteries, but I want to do precautions built into the system too. So this screws onto the battery, then this screws onto the other end of the fuse. That way, if there is an issue coming from either direction, then the rest of the system on either side won't be destroyed. These are 300 amp, 32 volt breakers, circuit breakers, fuses, and they're just inline fuses. So they'll just fry out if there's an issue. So I'm going to play around with this a bit, kind of get an idea of where I want to line these up. I can see I'm going to need more cable than I have already. I more than likely won't use, I might use these cables. I can use these off the bus bars. So I'll probably use these cables from the bus bars to the inverter. And then there's a ground wire here too. So eventually the whole system will be grounded to ground cable outside. But I kind of want to play with this a bit and see how I need to line it up, keeping in mind where I want the batteries and where I want everything else laid out on here. I like it. I want it to be as organized as it can possibly be, because I'm brain dead when it comes to this kind of stuff. Oh, the fuse box here. This is just like the fuse underneath your dashboard. So these a bunch of little bag of fuses that came with this. And then it also came with the mounting screws to mount it on here. And it comes with a description of how to line it up. And it also comes with these little stickers on here so I can actually label what fuses are going to what banks of light. So in the kitchen, there'll be a fuse for kitchen lights. In the bathroom, there'll be a fuse for bathroom lights. In the pantry, there'll be a fuse for pantry light. So everything will be all lined up. So let me play around with this a bit and line it up, and then we'll get back with you and show you what I kind of came up with. So here's the solar charge controller, as I was discussing before. And we've got these wires here coming in from the solar panels into this. And then the wires coming out of here just directly to the batteries. Right now this is charging. When you see this little bar thing here moving, that means it's charging. But we have rain going on outside. It's at 12.5. These batteries are nothing but to light the cabin. And then that battery is just for charging and topping stuff up. This is a little inverter as well, a full sine wave 400 watt. That is the maximum watts that it can output. But I wanted to give you a picture of what that looked like as well. Before I get too carried away with this, I better install some support and line out where these studs are. So I'm not trying to screw through stuff that is going to end up with a stud right behind it. So let's line that up first. So I couldn't do this up until today. Today was the first day that I did it and didn't even realize that I could still get back down there and do that. But I could feel a lot of muscle pull still in this leg, and man, it's just black and blue. I'll post a picture of how bad and how dark it looks over here from the muscle pull, but a lot more flexibility, a lot less pain. So I'm gonna get busy. Hopefully you'll be able to see this, but I'm not a builder. Obviously, right? This was the first thing I've ever tried to build. So when you're putting a wall in and you're a builder and you know what you're doing, you know that you need to have something to go ahead and screw against when you get down here. And I don't have anything here. So I'm gonna put this in. And I'll use the screws to pull it tight, and then that way I'll have something to screw against on the corner here, so I can secure this end of the plywood. There we go. I don't need that many, but I'll put 4 in here anyway. Come on, get back in there. I drilled some holes out for this and then realized that I drilled I picked up the wrong side screws, so we're just going to do wood screws through here. Because there's not going to be much weight on this at all. This is basically just a 12-volt wiring coming in. And it did come with a bag for these, so this one going here, coming back up to here, and going down on that one. Do one down, then here. Get up here. Ah! Bugger! I'm going to need to get some wire tie downs too to hold these in place. That should cover the negative line coming in, and then the positive I did have to modify. Like I said, I trimmed a little bit off the end of these connectors on here so they would fit the flat part. What is falling off of it? Double check. Make sure I didn't freaking lose stuff back there. I did not. Okay. Oopa doopa doopa. Go. Is that right? That'll work. Solar charge controller right here. Cool. would suggest, if you're going to do this yourself, that you have all your wire and everything on hand so that you don't just make the mistake that I made. So I just ended up flipping this over. The main reason why this is up here is because over here there are readouts and controls that I want to be able to access very easily, and I want to be able to see them when I walk in to access them. And then the two plug outlets here are going to be what I'll wire my Romex to. And then I'll have them just so they plug in. One will be the refrigerator, and one will be an electrical line outlets possibly on the other side. So I just want to make sure that I have them, you know, ready to go. I could run these to a breaker box as well and then run everything through a breaker box, but I'm not going to have that much electricity. So I've got all of my negative lines all set up and ready to go. I need to pick up a couple of washers for this end because this is a 1/4 inch on this side. Let me grab my cell phone and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. We'll get back to that in a second. So everything is run down to the bus bars, and then this is run, I actually installed the battery cable here, and then this one here is installed to where the switch is going to go, and then the other cable will be there as well. And the good thing is that when it all lined up, it looks like I'm not going to have any problem mounting that switch. The stud's not going to get in the way, which is, you know, important. That was a big issue for me. So yeah, I mean, overall, you know, the system's just about complete, you know, minus the batteries, obviously. And then I'll get a camera and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. What I was talking about here is this is a 3/8 and this is a 1/4. So I need a bigger washer to make sure that it has good contact when it's done and that there's no chance of this popping off. And I'll pick those up today because I have to run to town anyway. The reason why is because I went with 2/0 cable here all the way through the power system because I have 2/0 cable coming in. And I wanted to keep all the main power cables the same. And that's just for consistency in power flow. I have 600 amp hour batteries. This is overkill. I know it is, but you know, overkill is underrated. So yeah, I've got to get washer for here, washer for this one, but I've got them all on the post so that they're lined up and I know exactly that the lengths are correct. I'm not really happy with the mess of wires that I ended up with over here, but that's okay. You know, I mean, it's still all easily accessible. Again, in the future, if you're going to do this, I would make sure that you had all your cables on hand so that you could lay this out a lot more better than I did. Also, these are 100% copper lines. And I don't know that these actually are. These are a lot more flexible than these ones are. These are flexible, but they're not that flexible. And again, you know, those were pretty darn pricey. I don't know if I actually said how much they were, but for those 3 cables, it was $132. So, you know, nuts, absolutely nuts. I could have bought a whole bunch of 2/0 gauge wire off of Amazon and had it shipped here with the connectors and the tools and everything for less than that. I have some escapees. Come on, what are you guys doing? How'd you get out? Come on, what are you doing over there? What the heck? How did that happen? Ugh. Come on, Sam. Let's go, bud. Chick, 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 chick. Come on, chick, 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 chick. Come on, chick, 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 chicks. Come on. Come on, chick, 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 chicks. I don't see how they could have gotten out. I don't see any breaks in the fence, so they must have gone out on the gate thing there. All right, let me get it organized. Well, hello, I know, right? Crisis averted. All the ladies are accounted for. I'm going to move this over to here. Put that bag in there. Let's see if that helps any. Yeah, I just walked out here to check my steak in the cooler and grab it out for dinner for tonight and realized I had a bunch of chickens walking around. They were all lined up here along this fence on the outside and then back over underneath that tree where they were tearing everything up. But crisis averted. Stay home. You guys are on restriction. So the sun is getting ready to set right now, and the KP index for the northern lights is over 7. I have never seen it that high. So hopefully we keep some clear weather, and if we do, I'm going to get some absolutely epic pictures tonight. Don't know if you're going to be able to see anything here, but I thought I'd give this a try too. And I'll give you a still right after it to show what I'm seeing with my eye, but I don't know if the video can pick it up. That haze in the background, right above the trees there. It's a band. Kind of on the dull side right now. Really hoping that this thing kicks up. But at the same time, we're fighting a full moon coming up in the other direction. I'm going to bed because it's 11 o'clock at night and I'm tired. So the specifics on this is a 2200 watt continuous power pure sine wave inverter, which is what you want for electronics. Is you want the pure sine wave inverter. And this is more than enough to power the needs of a single refrigerator, and more than likely anything that I would plug into an outlet. I don't have electrical appliances, so you know there's really no giant wattage. If I was going to run a microwave on here and it was an 1800 watt, that would be pushing it pretty close. But I'm not going to. And this has its own switch off, so while it will go a little bit over that, before it damages itself, it'll shut itself off, and then you can reset it. It's got a couple of fans on the side as well. So other than connecting the batteries, you know, and that switch, and running the lines over here for the solar, which are behind me right now, and putting the solar solar charge controller over here, this system's pretty much done and just waiting for batteries. I hope you guys have a great day. I am Sean in Alaska. That's going to do it for me. I'll play around with this a little bit more when I get the washers and get all that set up and start wiring stuff into here, but that's it. It's not that difficult. You just have to do a lot of thinking ahead of time, and like I said, I get nervous when I'm working with electrical. Talk to you guys later. All right, it's done.